What is up, guys? It's O, the Shepherds of Men. I am blessed to sit around the table with these three gentlemen here. JP.
Hey,
We caught him in the middle.
Sorry,
I did not put
right in the middle of a drink. I didn't know how you did that. Is he ready?
Yeah. Good swig. Here we go.
Yep.
All right,
Always.
Cam
Yep.
and Wilson.
What's going on, guys?
All right, guys. This week we're going to be talking about, and I like Wilson's title, why the fuck you're not winning at what you want to do.
Who would have ever thought that'd be Wilson's time?
All right, I know. It's pretty PG usually with Wilson. So
He likes to drop the F-bomb nowadays.
well, it's like when they took over Marvel. It's like, whoa,
Right.
did he just knock his head off in a Disney movie?
Hell yes.
Just stab him with a spoon.
Right? Yeah.
Hey,
exactly.
you gotta worry about those silent type.
Yeah.
You're right.
You're one of them.
So the biggest thing is, man, I know a lot of us have actually talked about this before. You know, us feeling like that we were meant to be great or we were meant for more. I know for me, like whether it was me as a kid and I was trying to like manifest like a ball of fire in my hand, like I know there's something more there, and you're like staring at your fist, like I'm about to do this ball of fire shit right now, turbo out of here. Or as an adult, you just have that gut feeling that you are meant for more, or that you can do more. You have you're not running at your full capacity, right? So, there's a couple questions I want to kind of start this off with, which would be, what would your life look like if you performed up to your full potential each day? What would change over 1, 3, and 5 years down the road? How long? What's that timeline look like? It doesn't have to be 1, 3, 5 years, but what does that timeline look like to go from good to great? And a great book that's on our, I believe, on our book list.
If it's not, it's a good one to add.
It definitely is. So think about, what your life would look like if you performed up to your full potential each day, and what would change in your life over 1, 3, 5 years. If you're single now, would you be married, or would you have a family? Whatever it is, that can obviously take. It doesn't take long to start a family for sure. I can attest to that. So think about.
Seconds.
That's way too long, dude. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a record for me. I might try to set that later.
Talk afterwards or something?
It's cuddling.
Did you cuddle?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, spooning.
After forking.
Yeah,
It's called a spork.
KFC made those popular.
yeah.
Yes, they did.
Was it KFC?
That's where I
Was
remember
it?
from.
I thought it was a lunchroom at school.
Oh, that could be. That could be it.
Maybe.
I thought it was
I don't
Toy
know.
Story.
I don't know. Jails probably, so you can't really.
Yeah.
You probably sharpen them. I don't know.
That's
They
a
figure
good
out
one.
everything out in jail. So biggest thing is on those two questions, guys. Set that vision in place, right? What do you need to accomplish that vision? Do you need, whether it's and a lot of people, you can have. It's okay to have multiple visions. You can have a vision the way you want your life to be outside of your profession. It's okay to have a vision for what you want to do in your profession or the business that you're attempting to build. Maybe you have a vision of a business that you're currently building. What do you need to accomplish that vision? Do you need additional training? Do you need mentorship? What barriers are holding you back? What's it going to take to overcome those barriers? So what I want to I want to kind of break it down in a couple different sections. I want to talk about vision in general and how important that is to include in every single fucking day. And then I want to talk about timeline and what that actually looks like in an effective manner. And I'm reading a book now called The 12-Week Year by Brian, I'm going to guess Moran and Michael Lennington. It's an outstanding book that I read actually while I was at the beach. It didn't take long. I zoomed through it pretty good, quickly. It's very high speed read, I guess I should say. I am a slow reader. I'm one of those guys that reads a page and is like, shit, I didn't pay attention, so I have to read it again.
Right.
And it still went pretty quickly, to be honest. It was a lot of great, we were talking about data earlier. It was a lot of great information, not really lifestyle changes, but small pivots that you can apply in your everyday deal. And it's over a 12-week period. So you take your 12 months and you shorten it to 12 weeks. And I'll talk about why. And I want to talk about preparation, how important knowledge is, and then, of course, execution and how that is the most important thing of all. That being said, vision. I know me personally, I like to, and I will say I kind of slacked off during vacation because most of my day was vision, looking out the water.
Vision of the beach.
Pretty much, yep, and the wife in a bikini.
Hey now.
Hell of a vision. My kids almost drowning, so that was a different vision.
You were looking at your wife.
Yeah, exactly. So I had to save them.
Wife first.
Yeah,
That's true.
100%. Yeah.
Make more babies.
Well, me and then the wife. I was not able to swim, and most of the time I'd stay on the beach because of fluids.
Corona?
Because different kind of Corona.
Yeah, I was gonna say with lime.
Oh, come on,
Lime.
yeah. It's Einstock. Okay, it's not Corona. It's Einstock.
Yeah,
we drink beer around here. Actual ale.
We're Vikings.
Yeah, some of us.
Some of
Apparently, I'm part Mexican because I love that shit.
Have you ever noticed they're filled at different levels?
You've said that before,
Just saying, pay
and I
attention.
didn't notice it until you said it.
They say they're filled with different flows.
Depends on which one peeing it today, huh?
Yeah.
Well, to this point, it's done nothing but make
That's
me
the
happy.
best piss you've ever tasted in your life.
Amazing.
Maybe that's
You
why you
wouldn't
put the
know
lime
then.
in it to kill the acidity
That
or something.
could be
Or
it.
the-
Have you ever met an Irish Mexican?
this
that
guy.
one
I
right
know
there. So vision. So big time is like I was getting at, meditation, right? So a lot of times in the morning I like to meditate. And I'll be honest, and we've talked about this before. My day isn't as good as if I don't. Or my day isn't as good if I don't meditate.
Right.
For sure, it's the same way as you start your day with what meal you start with and how you set your day up. So setting that vision of who I and reminding myself my principles, who I am, what I'm trying to accomplish in my day is night and day. If I do or don't, right? What do you guys do as far as setting your vision? And this is, we can talk personal, we can talk professional. What do you guys do?
Every morning, I get on my knees. If I don't start my day with not on my
I need you
knees,
to keep
in a
this
sense
as
of
PG as possible.
prayer is what I
All right,
mean
good.
by
Gotcha.
that.
Thanks
For
for the
those who
clarity.
don't understand
Yeah.
what that means, I start my day off praying every single day. You guys are sick fucks.
Look, you're the one that always has sexual everything in every
Yeah.
single podcast.
Yeah,
man.
it's-
We weren't
I'm
sure.
going to get on my knees in front of my wife.
We were
What's that
not
gonna do?
sure where that was going.
Anyway,
Well,
if that's going to happen, she's never mind. I won't go into details. But anyway,
If you never tried that while she's standing up, you should
maybe.
continue.
All right. Well, anyway,
Unless you're Kevin Hart and then you go up on your wife.
It's just fantastic knees.
Oh Lord.
All right, he goes up on his.
we're
Sorry,
going.
getting
Y'all,
better.
Dude, get on.
There we go.
track.
There we go.
All right, but anyway, so I like to pray every single morning. We should have just started with that. Anyway, to me, it roots me. It brings the day in focus because it's not about me. It's always not about me. It's about what I can do as an impact to other people. Because when I do my hashtags of YDM is your dash matters, it really resonates with me because I don't want my dash to mean nothing. When I leave this world, I want to leave it better, and I want to leave that impact to be ongoing as a ripple effect for the rest of my life or the rest of the people I've impacted in their lives. They look back at what a Wilson is, they're going to know it. And they're going to remember, just like we remember 9/11, what we talked about on this last episode, is that moment in time is going to be etched always. And that's my dash. And becoming every single day. It is a real thing in the Wilson household. It's not something that I just talk about or say. I use those hashtags for those reasons because that's what matters to me in my life. So every single day when I pray, it's not about me. It's about what I can do as a vessel for God Almighty in my belief that can use me as a tool to expand His kingdom and impact other people along the way.
So what does that look like on an actual vision? So you're setting a vision. You want to be a tool for God, and you want to impact other people along the way. So what does that look like to Wilson? What is that?
I have to humble myself because in most cases, humanistic trait is you're going to be all about you. It takes my focus off of just being me and self-centered to, okay, how can I take that off and just start focusing on somebody else? So that's what starts. Sure. Then I focus on what my everyday actions are going to look like for that day, of how I'm going to execute, like what we were talking about earlier, because you can talk about it all day long, but if you're not executing, you're not acting, you're not putting something into play.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute for sure. Yep.
And then for vision and sense of just my life, what I want to accomplish in goals, I do have a vision board that I put together that was meticulous about of the things that I want to accomplish in life, the houses that I want, the cars I might want to drive, the places I want to go. Adding my wife involved in that vision board too is having her dreams on there, or the things that she wants. It's more materialistic. It's not what we're about, but it is definitely something that I can look at that connects me to what my purpose is.
Sure.
Okay.
So when did you make that vision board?
I've made that vision board years ago.
Okay. So here's what I want to focus on.
Okay.
Because I think it's extremely important. I'll get to you guys here in a second too. I kind of want to bounce around with this a little bit.
Absolutely.
So you made that vision board. You put the houses you want on there. You put the cars you want on there. So we're looking at lifestyle decisions.
Yes.
So the biggest thing is with your vision needs to come a timeline.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's nothing.
Correct.
It's a pipe dream, right?
Yep.
So a vision without a plan is a pipe dream. That's all it is. So the biggest thing is I know you, so I know that you'll eventually have those things for sure. But I know that you can have them quicker if you have that vision, and accompanying that vision is a timeline and execution.
Yep.
Right. So I think that's the only thing stopping you is like you have these things and I've seen the vision board. Last time I was over, every time I see it, I'm like, that's fucking awesome. So and we have one in our room with a couple different things that we have on it. We need to add more, to be honest, but we tackle each individual thing at a time.
Right.
So, with a timeline, it puts a little bit. It puts pressure on you, but I know everyone at this table is strong enough to handle that pressure. So that's what I wanted to get at when it comes to that. So I kind of want to break as you guys are telling me this. Expect that I'm kind of going to break that down a little bit with what I've learned from this book. Again, 12-week year, fucking awesome.
Was that the subtitle?
I actually wrote it on the cover.
Nice. America.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yes.
I will say. So what's great about this is, and we've talked about humbling yourself to be able to go and get, if you need external help, going to get psychological help or whatever it is. And I'm not crazy. It's nothing like that. I've got a ridiculous ego that, for whatever reason, probably should have prevented me to go, because I'm tough enough to handle things on my own, right? As most guys would think. However, for whatever reason, I did humble myself and go for the sake of my marriage, and I learned that book from it. So, and that book is completely over vacation, and me being able to read it all in one sitting is put me on a different level. I think Relentless was good. It's done a very similar thing and kind of fires you up, but 12-week year allows you to focus that fired up energy in 12 weeks and see what you can accomplish. And the data shows from this book is if you go through 12 weeks and use and have a vision, timeline, preparation, execution, that you will be 4 times more productive. So, JP, what does vision look like for you, man? I've seen your vision board, so I know you got one of those.
Yep. So, I mean, vision boards are great. I think a long-term vision is very important. But I'm a very aggressive individual. I play everything that I do aggressively. I'm a very offensive kind of player, so I like to play on my toes. And when you can really boil your life down, your goals down to have to haves as opposed to want to haves, you start to create non-negotiables in your life, right? So for me personally, that allows me to let everything else roll off my back. And that's one of the things that for me creates clarity in my life, because a lot of people are mixed up and they're confused in their life because they look at things and they want to give attention to everything that goes on. So there's a lot of bullshit that goes on in your life and everybody's life, not just mine, but everybody's, that I let roll off my back that a lot of people will allow to slow them down. They get stuck in the mud. So for me, it's kind of a have to haves kind of thing. So I look at a long-term vision and then I break it down to a daily task. And my way of doing it is I like to look at it the night before. So if I go into, let's say I'm going into Monday. Let's say on Sunday I'm going into Monday. Sunday night, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to review my calendar and I'm going to look at the stuff that I need to do. And I'm going to make a tactic on every task that I have that's significant, that has to do with what I have to have. Now that could include my work. That could include my goals and dreams in the long term, my business ventures, my family, whatever it may be. And then the day before, I will plan a plan of attack on that kind of stuff. So when I do, everybody that I'm working with, I am the more influential individual in that situation. That's my goal in life, because the more certain of two parties will always influence the other.
Yep.
It's guaranteed. I promise you, and if you don't take anything else away from this, be the most certain to go into a meeting. If you are the most certain, you could be wrong. If you are the most certain and most convinced in that meeting, you will influence the other person. And I'm not saying to deceive people, but what I'm saying is be prepared. So the day before, I always review my schedule, and I always have a plan of attack. I'm not trying to be dull and boring when it comes to stuff like that, but I know where I'm going. I know where my game plan is. So I definitely have a long-term goal, but I have a day-to-day attack that I plan the day before, because ultimately when I wake up and my head comes off that pillow, it's game time. It's time to attack the day. I don't want the day to happen to me. And we've talked about this before, and I think most of us live this way. And I would love to say that, and Wilson, I humbly believe that what you just said is like true to your heart. And I want to impact other people's lives. I think it's probably slightly different than the way you do, and that's what's great about people. That's why that people need you in their lives more than they need me in their lives. But there's other people that need me in their lives more than they need you. They need somebody to kick them in the nuts and go, well, we're either going to attack or we're going to sit here and be a bitch. Like,
that's why I wear cups.
That's
when I'm around
call
you.
me a bitch.
That's it. No, I'm not saying you're not. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just.
I know.
You get what I'm saying.
Messing. I had to throw that in there somewhere.
That's what I heard, honestly.
Yeah, I know.
I think exactly what you're saying.
You come with me, and we're going to attack the life. You go with Wilson, you're just going to be a bitch. That's basically the translation of that.
Actually,
Wilson's
Wilson,
not the truth. That is not the truth. That is not. No, what I'm
Wilson's
saying.
Latin for bitch. Actually,
Some people don't relate to that, dude. Sometimes you attack a person that and they're
shut down.
they shut down. They're like, dude, I'm done. I don't want anything to do with that. And there's some great people out there that had people that cultivated their dreams for them, that needed that and stuff. And I think that's important. But for me personally, I think I'm the type of person that I like to impose my will on all my initiatives. If there's an initiative that I want to impose my will. Now that doesn't mean I'm not open to ideas outside of, because I'm still learning as I go. I can run into an attack position and get hit in the mouth and go, tomorrow we're going to attack that differently. It happens all the time. It happens to me all the time. I've ran into brick walls constantly in my life, but that's just how I like to attack things, is I'm very much so on the balls of my feet. But that's just my mentality. I have a different mentality when it comes to it. So I break things down. So let's make this very simple. I have a long-term vision. I break it down to daily tasks, and then I review them the day before, and I figure out how I'm going to slaughter them the next day.
Sure.
That's
So you've got a long-term vision. You have miniature goals to lead to that long-term vision.
Absolutely.
So what is that? How long is that long-term vision?
So I have a multitude. So I have a lifestyle or a lifetime vision that's a legacy kind of vision for me, and that's very long term, and that's there's a lot of short term vision. So I have like a 5 and 10 year vision that I want, and then I have like my lifetime vision is one of those where it's like I sit back and my feet are up on the rail and I'm looking at the beach with the waves rolling in on one of my houses. One of my houses. Yeah. That's a long-term vision. Now that's great, but if that doesn't translate into a daily routine to get you there, it don't mean shit.
Right. And for those listening, and exactly. So, and for those listening, Josh is talking about owning multiple houses. Okay, and if that rubs you wrong in any kind of way, get the fuck over yourself. For one, imagine how much impact he's had on people's lives if he owns multiple properties. Knowing Josh's heart, that's how it would be. Right. It wouldn't be wouldn't be like a politician who'd be, abusing tax dollars to own multiple houses and then trying to tax the rich more heavily.
No, yeah. More than
how did you know? That's crazy. I'm going to complain about rich people, but I'm going to own 3, 4, 5, 6 houses. I digress. I love that. So, what this episode helped do is kind of help rein in those longer, obviously legacy's different, right? So, but some of your longer term goals, like I've seen some of the nicest cars you guys have and nicest houses you guys have on there, but those are so much farther away if it's not a main focus, right? If it's not a focused vision. So Cameron, what is, and that's what we'll talk about now. And it doesn't have to be a car, it doesn't have to be a house if that's not your thing. It could just be, maybe it's fucking getting a better job, You got to be good at the job you have now if you think you're going to try to get a better job. Because if you're shit in the bed now at the job you're in, you think you're going to be any better at the next one, you're creating bad habits now. So again, different deal. Cameron, what does vision look like for you, or what does your vision look like, and how do you practice it?
Yeah, so to kind of go back to what Wilson was talking about as far as the practice of accomplishing my vision or goals is one thing that's very important to me, and the times that I've been most productive and executed on the highest level is when I can get up early before anybody else, work myself hard physically, because it puts your mind in a different place, I believe. So if I can literally push my body to a point that I have to use my mind to get through it, then it opens up another realm of my brain. And then as I'm cooling down, chilling out, whatever, I still have another 45 minutes to an hour before the world wakes up, before my family wakes up, any of that kind of stuff. Those are the times when I'm reading. I'm getting more out of the reading. I'm reading. I'm in the Word. I'm getting more out of the Word. By that I mean the Bible. I'm in prayer. Or after that I'm in, like what Josh is talking about, where I'm reviewing what's the task today. So I do as well what Josh talks about the night before, not just the night before, but I'm very, sometimes to a fault, OCD and anal about things. So I can be reviewing throughout the day of what's coming up tomorrow. I'm constantly prepping my brain for what's next. And again, I think probably to some extent that could not necessarily be a positive thing. My wife would tell you, like, Lord have mercy, just chill out. But I am just always thinking about what's the next thing. And so on the positive side of that, my brain is always engaged on what's next, not focusing on whatever is right now or in the past or whatever. I just don't believe there's any, you can't execute if you're thinking about where you fucked up yesterday.
Well, you're not going that way, so stop looking.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So you're looking in the direction you want to go. So as far as a vision, I do have like the bigger picture, but I also tend to focus on one thing at a time. So if my thing is I want to get X, then there is a collaborative effort in every area of my life to accomplish X. Once I've got X, so I kind of, the way my brain works is once I've earned this, I'm getting it. And then I'll move on to the next thing, and I'm getting that. And I don't mean just from a materialistic standpoint, but whatever it is, whatever I want to accomplish, whether it's a position or that's a car or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Or the next project, own another business, whatever it is, then it kind of becomes the next thing on the list the next stair step.
Okay. So it's almost like phases.
Yep.
To the ultimate goal.
Yep. And so those phases create ultimately a lifestyle that is the big vision.
Let me add into that. My association has a lot to do with my vision.
Yes,
for sure.
My association has a lot to do with my vision because it's how I determine what my association is. If I look next to me and I'm about to attack something, especially if it's something that is what we would call scary, or there's some fear that sets in from it, and I look next to me and the guy next to me kind of nods. I don't need any kind of reassurance. I just need somebody to look at me and kind of pop that head. And I know you can't see it right now, but it's one of those, we're going. That's who I need around me.
Oh, for sure. Where are we going skydiving?
Like those guys. I'm down, dude. I'm freaking in.
I would be.
I'm in
first.
first.
I'd be the first one to jump out, man.
I just did a bid for a guy that owns the skydiving place in Lookout Valley right by Chattanooga. So I got his card and everything. So
oh hell yeah, we all do it. Yeah,
that's where
I would totally
was.
Do that.
Mate, is his name the Wizard?
I mean, possibly that's his stage name.
Everyone calls him. I mean, at least I don't know if that was Lookout Valley, but it was a smaller joint. Okay,
yep. It's been there for about 10 years. So.
Okay, then yeah. So that's why I went out last time, and it was gorgeous, dude.
Yeah, shorter guy, silver hair.
Yeah, dude,
from like up north somewhere.
Fuck yeah. That's
the dude.
Cool, man.
But so
cool guy.
So the whole point to that though is if you have people around you and you constantly see yourself doing things on your own, and other people are either grabbing at your shirt or, for figuratively speaking, or saying like, oh man, don't do that, or whatever it may be, it's time to get a new association because it's just it crabs in a bucket. It's a great analogy there. But for me, that's another big alignment with my vision.
Yeah, that's where I think a lot of people screw the pooch, is because they're not willing to cut bait with bad association in their life. Yeah. They're like, well, it's family.
They're afraid of hurting people.
You didn't pick them. You
know? Sometimes that's can hold you back. I mean, you're right. You didn't pick them. And a lot of times, had a
family.
Not that you shouldn't be loyal. Not that you should. And listen, friend.
There's
but
barriers.
you got to decide. You got to get mature enough at some point in your life where what is the hierarchy? Mm-hmm. For me, it's God, country, family, business. Mm-hmm. So if that relationship is keeping me from prioritizing those things properly, then obviously God, country, family, business is more important than that relationship. One of them's got to go.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have
or separate a little. Doesn't necessarily have to go like cut bait, but it has to be different than it is right now.
It becomes an association more than actually somebody.
If you really want to accomplish something, if your focus is to truly focus on accomplishing something and to truly execute, if that person is keeping you from executing, then they're no longer adding value to your life.
Well, I've got and this is pretty good because something I learned when we were in business way back was, I love my family, but they weren't super supportive when I was starting to strike out on my own, like a crabs in a bucket situations. Yeah. And then some of my friends weren't super supportive either. So I had you guys, right? So that's what kept me driven. Like we were on the same mission, like we were on the same hunt. It made sense. When I wanted to have fun, and go do stuff that wasn't business related, then I didn't hang out with you guys for that. I wouldn't hang out with my old friends for it. You know what I'm saying? So it was different. Now we wouldn't have fun that wasn't necessarily business related. I still got to hang out with you guys for that.
Yeah.
But it was like nerdy old fun, right? So like gaming, stuff like that. I would go to my gaming friends when I wanted to do that. When it was game time and I needed to achieve some goals, I went to you guys for that. You know, I think there's different there's boundaries. You know, and you can keep stuff grouped apart. You know, you don't have to group it all together and go, well, shit, man, I set these goals and now I got to ignore my people. That's not part of it, man. You just make time for those people. You set your boundaries and let them know, hey, I'm grinding right now. Yeah, I'll see you this weekend.
And the truth of the matter is, if they're real friends, then they understand that and they respect it. That's the truth. And if anybody's giving you shit, to all the listeners, if anybody's giving you shit about chasing a dream, man, like you need to have a real conversation with that person.
That's what I was gonna say.
This is important to me. Most times they're afraid you're going to pass them or leave them.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to tell them, like, this is important to me, and we're boys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I would appreciate if you would just take that into consideration and respect it. And if you can't, then I got to reconsider how our relationship moves forward.
Yeah, and you have to have that boldness into it. You can't just be like, well, I'm really looking to go this way, but I mean, it really matters what you think.
As long as you're okay with it.
No, don't be like that. If you really want that, you tell them, hey, this is serious.
Your boldness is your belief.
Yeah, it's your belief. And if your belief level is not where it's at, you need to reevaluate what you're doing.
And your goal.
And your goal, yeah.
So that being said, we'll talk about timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Reading this book, they say 12 weeks, and it's extremely effective from what they've said on a data level. So I'll say this. Why is it? Or I'll ask this. Why is it that most companies have these certain times of the year where they push certain initiatives or they push certain deals or pricing or whatever, and you see this massive spike in growth?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, the workforce is putting some serious fucking effort and hours in for a short amount of time because of a certain initiative or a certain goal that was set. Why isn't it like that all year round?
Because you generally develop habits within a 90-day period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So within 90 days, if you can establish a goal within 90 days and you can execute on a daily basis in that 90-day realm, you can develop a habit. Now, when you do that, you create a plateau, right? You create a habit. At the habit, you create a plateau because you no longer grow because you've hit your goal, and then you create another 90 days. That's why when you see like physical years within a company, you hear Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Those are 90-day intervals within that company. And generally, that's what it takes to, for one, execute things. I mean, a lot of things you give 90 days, you can execute some amazing things. And within 90 days, from an individual perspective, from a growth perspective, you can execute new habits. And like we've talked about before, habits can be good or bad, right? They can be detrimental or they can be growth-based habits in your life. And it's just like anything. You create a habit. That habit doesn't go away in the next 90 days. You go do something else. A habit is habitual. In nature, it's habitual. That's what it's for. So in 90 days, you create a habit. Well, the next 90 days, you don't forget that habit. You still execute that habit. You add another one on top of it. That's how your building gets bigger. You add another block to the habit, and then you continuously. That's why I think a 90-day period, a 12-week period of time is very crucial as far as that number goes.
Some people would hear that and say, well, I mean, I can't add a habit this 90 days and then 90 days another habit. Oh, how am I going to do that? I'm already so busy. No. You're busy with habits already. You just have bad habits.
Right.
Yeah.
Potentially. You have habits that you've created doing other shit that you might have to cut out.
Right.
Like you're going to have to change this habit to another habit, but you can continue to do that. There's no doubt.
But there's things that you've always said too, because you think about that, you go like, oh well, then now let's extrapolate this out 2 years. You've got so many freaking habits now that are successful, and your mindset right now coming into it's like maybe you don't have the best habits. You got to find another gear. You have to switch your gears to different thinking, and it's a change, but you start with one. You could do one thing for 90 days straight habitually and turn into a habit, and then you do another one and another, and as you do that, you're going to grow, and you're going to go, oh, I actually can do this and not die.
I think there's truth to that. If I can jump in real quick on that,
Sure.
There's truth to that for sure. About you need to catch another gear, but for me personally, I would say you need to catch another gear to execute the habits. I don't think there's a million of them.
No,
I think
I don't
there's
think so.
a handful, maybe two, of things that you really need to get good at. and that will lend itself to.
And
what
it goes
you
back to your
accomplish.
vision. So your habits should definitely correlate with the vision, right? So you don't want to be like, okay, I want to be a freaking legendary fisherman, so I'm going to go jog every day. Well, that doesn't fucking make any damn sense.
Right.
You know, you're missing your vision at that point. So is it important to jog every day? Yep. But if your vision isn't to be a fucking specimen and you want to be a legendary fisherman, then don't go fucking jog every
Unless
day.
when you're jogging, you it's a time of meditation and
Oh,
mental
for
clarity
sure.
or something
Yeah.
totally different
Don't
thing.
misread that.
Yeah,
Don't
but,
misread that.
yeah, but on top of that, and this is something I've learned from the corporate world. On top of that, if you go into a 90-day period of time and say I'm going to do these 10 things, shut up.
No, you're not.
You're not.
Oh, for sure.
No.
No.
Pick 3 things that you will actually do.
You won't do
Pick
any
three
of them.
things.
If you pick 10, you won't do
Yeah,
any of them.
pick 3
Typically.
things. So I'm going to tell you right now, this is one thing that I've seen from a goal setting perspective, from a corporate perspective, from an engineering group. Anything over 3 generally does not get executed.
Oh,
Anything over 3 does not get executed. Now some of your top performers might hit 4, might hit 5 in a 90-day period of time, but that is very, very rare. But 3 is that magic number. You find 3 things that you're going to execute, and you're going to create habits and things that are habitual that from that point on are sustainable, then you're on a roll. That's one of the problems that I think a lot of people have is they create these 12 things. They're like, I'm going to execute these 12 things. I'm going to become the whatever over the next 90 days. And then you're just sitting there going, oh, shit. The poor bastard is not going to do any of them now.
Right.
Well,
Rather than just pick 3 and execute them at the highest level and create a habit. Because remember, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Correct.
And when you think about us, we all did business together, and the goal setting days, and you're in there, and I'm thinking only 3, and then all of a sudden other people come up, they're like this many goals, this many
1,000
goals, and it's like,
different things.
damn it, I don't have enough goals. So
You're
you
not
start
gonna do it.
writing down. Yeah, that is a true statement. When you focus on 1 to 3 things, you can do so much more than you could think of trying to do all that. Because what happens is your mentality right coming out of the goal, like literally right out of goal setting. You get around a bunch of group people, you're talking to people about your goals, and you're like, oh, fired up. The very time you walk out the door, you're going, damn, that's a lot of shit I got to do.
Stuff. And then your self-image starts taking a hit when
Yeah.
you didn't do it the first day. I didn't hit all 12 today.
Yep.
Then you're downward spiral.
Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Start out right and just do just one thing for all. If all intents and purposes, if you want to grow, just focus on one thing that you can do that you can control for the first 90 days. Reading or some type of self-help.
It just
whatever.
Well, it depends on
Whatever
what
it is
your vision is, right?
Right, exactly.
So I mean, I don't give a shit about a book if it's not going to help me achieve my vision.
Right.
Most of the time, yes.
I'm going to say read.
Yeah.
I'm still going to
No,
say read.
listen.
You can agree to disagree.
Reading is important, but that's part of our vision
Right.
and our personal growth.
What if your
If it's
goal is
not-
to be illiterate?
If your goal is to be illiterate, then stop fucking
There
listening
you go,
to
right?
us. Yeah.
So listen, reading is important to us,
Yeah.
but we also know how important that is. Maybe it's not important to other people.
No.
It depends on what your vision is. Now, if you got a house and a car and all these things that you want, yeah, you better be fucking reading, because you're to make it to that level effectively and long term, you're going to change a lot of people's lives. And in order to do that, you need to have the knowledge, know-how, and mindset to make that happen,
So let's
that
say
it
I
will
want to
last
be.
long term.
Let's say I want to be a $35,000 a year employee.
You ain't got much to
Then
do,
reading
man.
probably isn't a big deal. to you.
Well, okay, but let's say I want to sustain that for 40 years and maybe move up to getting a raise every now and then. I still feel like there's
Easy, go to work at Kroger.
Let's start with being on time.
I didn't read a book.
Every day.
Yeah.
I would say be on time every
Your
day.
first
Keep your
goal is to
commitments.
be on time every single day.
or get there early and read.
No, I would.
We
I
are
would-
where we are in our life
I-
because we do that.
I would agree. So, to Cam's point though, I would agree. There's very little that you could say that reading is not important.
For
There's
sure.
very little. Very little.
I think that's an incredible start. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is take your vision and break it down.
Yeah.
If reading isn't one of your primary tasks that you can do over 12 months, then great. Make it one for sure, in our opinion, absolutely.
Yep.
But the what I'm focusing on, you guys are focusing on the little things. What I'm saying is, if you want a new car, set a fucking timeline to get that car.
Yeah.
Don't just put it up on a dream board and go, I'm going to have that one day. You're never going to fucking have it if that's the case,
Hey.
because you don't have a plan to get it.
I'll tell you what I did. I actually write checks. I know people don't have checkbooks anymore.
You write what?
But
I'm
so,
sorry.
so
I got
so
one.
Now, so now listen. So to Cameron's point, I read obviously, but if there's something that I have, especially from a short-term perspective goal, I'll write a check for whatever I want and what it costs. and I'll write a check and I'll say for, blah, 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 new Toyota Sequoia for my wife. And then I'll put the cost of what it is. And I'll use that as my bookmark.
I like that.
That's great.
So
That's fucking good.
Every time I
really
flip a
good.
page and I put it up and I open it back up, my check is sitting there for what that Sequoia costs and stuff, and it stays in front of my face on my daily task.
There's a level of accountability with that. I like
Yes,
that a lot.
dude.
That's probably more
Yeah.
effective.
I'll make you read more pages. Each
Yeah,
time.
amen,
right, you
amen.
will.
It's how
So-
much? How much is a Sequoia? I gotta read some more.
Man,
Yeah.
I need to start building Sequoias.
I hope the listeners listen to that. That's a nugget.
That's
right
pretty good.
there.
Yeah, it's
That's
definitely a
really
nugget
good
for sure. But keep in mind, if you want a new Sequoia, reading is important and should be part of your daily regimen, but it's not going to help you get a Sequoia.
Right.
Yeah.
The actions past that are going to help you get a Sequoia. If you're going to wake up every day and think you're going to read a book and get a new Sequoia,
Nope.
No, you have
it's-
to take
it's not gonna
action.
happen for sure.
Execution is action for
and
sure.
that's where I want to go next. All right, so preparation. I'm going to kind of just make it execution. So knowledge. I think everybody knows the old saying, "Knowledge is power." Well, that saying is full of shit.
What?
So surprise, right? So there's something. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge alone is not power. Okay, it's only powerful if you act on it.
Right.
Think of it this way: This is an actual fact. 65% of America is obese. 65% of us are obese. So,
We saw that at the theme park.
but how many books are there?
Dude.
How many books are out there that are designed to teach you how to not be that way? And how many books are there about diets? And how many fucking diets are there? There's a book out there called Run Fat Bitch Run.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, I want to buy it, to be honest.
I was gonna say they sell them just for the name.
Yeah. But how we're still, and these books have been around a long time, but 65% of us are still obese.
Because they don't have a vision.
All the knowledge is there. All of them are there. No, they even have vision. They look themselves in the mirror every single day. They got a vision of what they want to look like. However,
they don't execute.
no, and their self-image is heard every single day, and that's exactly why they are the way they are. And that goes back to the habits, right? Don't stack yourself with a million different things you want to do over 12 weeks. Focus on. I love the way that you and Cam, you said too, break down your ultimate vision into daily and weekly goals, right? And even monthly goals. Ultimately, take your vision, break it down into 12-week increments, and start chipping away at it.
Right. So I like to look at stuff like that from a GPS perspective. So why is GPS so effective, right? So you can literally travel 2,000 miles away from your house to a destination and hit the mark on the nose.
Yeah.
Like you could put a hotel into a GPS net. Why? Because it literally takes you turn by turn on what you need to do. So as long as you execute that turn by turn plan,
You know the end
you'll get exactly where you need to be.
Yeah.
Now, the fact of the matter is, to the point, what you just said, there's things that go into that, right? There has to be gas in your car. Your car has to be running. You have to be pushing on the gas pedal. You have to turn on the blinker when it's time to turn. You actually have to take the freaking turn when it's time to turn. But there's another aspect to it that, especially now with the new GPSs, is it tells you what your next turn is. So not only are you more effective because you do execute, but you're also effective because you know what your next turn is. So if you're in the left lane and you're going to have to take a right in a busy highway within the next half mile, and it tells you when you turn onto that road, you stay in the right lane. But if you're in the left lane, you might miss that turn, and then it creates a detour.
And-
so for me, life is life is very much so a GPS if you program it correctly.
Correct.
Which would require you to know where you want to be. And then it would require you to create a plan to get there. And then it would require your lazy ass to execute that shit every day. And that's the biggest problem with people today, is that an execution standpoint. People do not execute according to what they actually want. They just bitch and moan. That's the biggest problem with people.
And they're full of ideas.
Oh, yeah, great.
Well, and you got to realize that too, because even us going to an event that we were trying to get to, we missed our exit and had to take a detour.
Yeah.
Detours are going to happen, and I think that a lot of people just don't realize that. They think that their plan is going to execute completely correctly the very first time, and that's not going to happen. That's like a rarity. So you got to expect the unexpected and roll with the punches and make those detours, those different changes. Because I really think that what it boils down to, why people don't execute is their mentality is off. They don't have the right mentality going in, and when they have one mishap, one mistake, one failure, they beat themselves up so badly that they don't take another step. And that's where you're messing up. You got to take the next step. No matter how many times you get knocked down, you got to get back up and continue to pursue.
Yeah. I mean, if your vision's probably not big enough, and sometimes that's okay. I know for me, if it doesn't scare me, it's not big enough, right? And I'd never go into a vision expecting a detour. I'll be honest. I'm hard on myself, though, and that's why. So, but when I fail, I don't sit there and like cuss myself out and dog myself, right? I just learn why I failed and I keep going. But I never set a goal going, I'm probably going to fuck up 3 or 4 times. So I just want to make sure people understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry.
But
Thank you for breaking that down, because that's true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
I don't go into a plan expecting failure.
Correct.
But I know that
it's realistic.
It's realistic.
Right.
It's not going to always go according to plan, but you better have a plan.
That goes back to more of
if that happens.
attitude piece of
Yes.
it, where
Correct.
it's like you better have
It's
a good
mentality.
attitude because some shit's going to happen you didn't expect.
Yeah.
And
Welcome to
the
life.
goal's still the goal.
That's why you have 12 weeks.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and it's not the fact that life is hard. The most difficult part about life is that it's so easy to be mediocre.
Yeah.
Right? So it's really easy for me to go from here to Nashville. That's from a GPS perspective. Let's stay on GPS. So from here to Nashville is really not that bad. Couple turns, I can get to Nashville. If I want to go to California, that's a bigger dream.
Why do you want to go to California?
I don't. So that's a bigger dream, though. It's a farther. So if I want to go to Luxembourg,
Let's go to Tahoe, bro.
right. So let's go to a non.
Pick somewhere else.
Let's go to a non-communist
Montana.
state
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
out
Let's
west.
go to
Texas.
Montana. But anyway, so
Texas.
the farther away my point is, the farther away your dream is, more than likely, the more turns there's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
The more execution is going to be required to acquire that dream.
Yep.
The more detours you may run into, because the fact of the matter is that GPS may say, hey, look, it's a 24-hour drive. And then you might be driving, all of a sudden, one of the communist governors or something like that's like, hey, we're going to shut the roads down because we got to do, construction or whatever, or protest. Yeah, so now we got protests.
Put a mask on your grill of your car.
So now we got to shut down the roads and stuff. Well, you may have a detour when it comes to that kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, from an execution standpoint, if you have a big dream, you better believe it's going to take you time to get there. And you have to execute every day, no matter how long it takes to get there. So if it's a big dream, expect to execute every day for a long time. If it's a little dream, you might be able to get to it quicker.
Yeah. What can you do over the next 12 weeks that will get you closer to your dream?
Exactly. And maybe that's pit stops, right? Maybe that's stopping at a pilot on the way. And I'm trying to break this down into where people may have not done this before, but you're following the GPS. Maybe it's a rest stop. Maybe it's a piss break. That's your 12 week, right? Like, whew, man, we did good. Like, we made good time
We
to this
stopped
point.
4 times in 2 hours coming back from Mississippi the other day.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
mercy.
My vision was getting very blurry. Very blurry. I was like,
Hey, man, that's good.
we're gonna be down a child here in a minute. Mercy.
Strap you on the top
Oh,
of the roof.
I don't even remember what I was gonna say. Now you're talking about the
the
pit
vision
stops.
and piss stops and
Oh,
the pilot.
expect if you have a big vision, big dream, that it's going to take some time. Something I wanted to throw in from earlier, this good point, is have patience in the accomplishment of your goal. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be. When I say patience, I don't mean it's okay if I don't execute today because I got time. That's not what I mean.
Mm-mm.
What I mean is execute every day, but if the goal's not right, and I'll give you an example. I'm getting a truck sometime. So this is one of my new goals. I want to get a new truck.
When?
That's what I'm about to explain to you. So
After the venue gets
right, right. So, but no, that's a good point because we're also JP and his wife and me and my wife are also starting another company, and there's some things that are important to take into account on how that's affecting that. And I'm not one of these people that's like, I want a new truck, I'm gonna go buy one.
yeah,
whatever.
impulsive.
Who cares? Whatever. I'm not impulsive at all. But at the same time, if I can do that and do this, and it's both a good decision, great. But the patience point is, I know what I want, but it's not something that is the truck itself is not driving me. If that makes sense. Pardon the pun. The truck is not something that's getting me out of bed and motivating me every day. So it's a goal I have that I want to get, but it's more of a want. It's something that is going to be more effective for me in some senses for the use. But I can be patient in the fact that I don't have to have it right now. So I don't necessarily have a date on it. Because I'm taking into account the fact that I'm not going to buy one that's not what I want. I'm not going to buy one just because, I test drove one the other day and it was awesome. I loved it, whatever. And the dude tried to get me to not leave there like they all do. He even hit me up the next day. He said, somebody else is coming in at 3 o'clock. This was like noon. Somebody else is coming in at 3 o'clock. If you want me to tell them it's sold, I said, hey, bro, I'm looking at other options right now. If they come in and get it, then I wasn't supposed to have it. I'm not going to pressure into something. Like if I get that truck, great. If I don't get that truck, great. There'll be another one. They make them every day. Mm-hmm. If I need to get the truck before we open the venue, great. If I need to get it after we open the venue, great. Doesn't matter to me. So it's a different type of goal, but I just want to say, like, if there's something that you have like a want/need on, it's okay to be patient. Like you don't have to go.
It's priorities.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's prioritizing. So hopefully that makes sense, but it's like, it's okay to have those two where I don't have a set date.
Yeah.
I just know that's one of the next things I'm going to accomplish.
And my vision board is kind of the similar thing. There are other priorities that take in place, and some of those visions
Are they on your vision board?
On my vision board have been taken off because I've accomplished them. So overall, the vision board should be something that you can look at daily. You shouldn't be ashamed of it. You should have it in front of your family. You should have friends to be able to see it. It's okay. That's a part of your life. And then every time you do accomplish something, it's so powerful to be able to go there and just take that little thing off. And then now your goal is to go, okay, what else can I replace that I took off? Let's continue this on. It's not one and done. That's a horrible life. I arrived. No, you never arrive. It's always growing. That's the beautiful thing about growth.
So I think what holds a lot of people back is obviously, like we talked about, the practical aspects of things. So planning, execution. But I think one of the things is a sense of urgency.
Yes.
People think that they have the rest of their life to work towards something that they want. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the greatest things in the world you could possibly do is give yourself a diagnosis. I am going to die. And tomorrow I'm one day closer. And I know that sounds morbid, and I've heard this from some very successful people on a very, very real level. You're going to die. That's a guarantee. There's no doubt about it. And tomorrow, you're one day closer to the day of your death. You have got to have some sense of urgency about what you truly want in your life. You cannot just float down the river of life like a dead fish and expect to do anything great. If there is zero sense of urgency, and what I see, and this is what I see from people, and I try to rekindle the fire with guys that I work with and stuff like that, is a matter of you get caught in that net of mediocrity in life, and you start to just coast down the river, and you start to realize that I can come home, I can watch Netflix, I can do stuff like, and people legitimately stop actively
growing,
chasing their dreams. Though that's the thing. A lot of people have dreams. I would challenge it to say everybody has dreams. If you go talk to somebody, everybody has dreams, but very few chase their dreams.
That's execution.
Right.
Very few chase their dreams.
65% of America doesn't want to be obese.
You're right.
I would say that,
But they
right?
choose to be every day.
Exactly, through their lack of execution.
That's exactly
100%. Everyone has something they want. They don't want to do what it takes to get there.
Could you imagine having that conversation with somebody? You chose to be fat.
No,
Oh, Lord.
that would not go over pretty.
Lord.
Yeah.
No.
What do you mean it's genetic?
You chose to be
Dude,
But
no
the
joke.
truth is, you did.
You
in
totally
some
did.
cases,
all right, so-
now there are some genetics that could come into play with that.
But
100%.
I still
100%.
know people that have worked to overcome their genetics and are not obese.
I know a
Right.
girl. I know a girl that all of us know
I do
that
too.
has an issue with her lymph nodes that actually creates like obesity, where people just if she lived like we did, she would be obese. That is in outstanding shape, and you would never know.
Because she's chosen
There you
to
That's
overcome
the
that.
one.
Never
Got
know
to,
it.
yes.
Starts with the W.
Yep.
Dude,
Yeah, that's awesome.
one of my early jobs when I was young, when I was moving over to Chattanooga, was selling gym memberships at a private club downtown. No joke, the dude that trained me, it was a double level club. It's still there. I'm not going to name the name because it's a great place. This guy's a freaking nut. But it was upstairs. racquetball courts, basketball court classes, all that kind of stuff. And then downstairs, under downtown Chattanooga, was the weights and everything, and it was all mirrors and everything. Literally, when he was doing tours, ladies included, he would take them over to the mirror and look in the mirror with them and say, "Are you really happy with what you look like right now?" I was like, damn. Like, I don't know if I'm going to do that. When you were saying, can you imagine telling people, like, this is your fault? He was literally like that.
But it goes back to what we've said before is no, but you could be.
Right.
So we've mentioned that before. I love that. But
Hey, most of the time, the truth will piss you off before it sets you free.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, it should be enough to put a pep in your step too.
Sometimes you got to get yourself free, and you're only going to do that if you get pissed off.
Yep.
Right.
So I think a lot of the I want to start wrapping up because I don't want to go too long. You know, the biggest thing is, guys, you know, hold tight to these questions. You know, what would your life look like if you performed up to your full potential each day? What would change 1, 3, 5 years down the road? Break that down into 12-week increments and dominate. Don't compete. Dominate. And make it happen. The reason I wanted to talk about this today, guys, I think it's really easy to focus on a lot of the negative in the news right now, with protests and all the politics with the new, which is important. Don't get me wrong, with the new election coming up. However, it is extremely important for you to not lose sight of your own personal growth and make sure you're continuing to maintain that and not let all the negative out there influence that and make it slow you down, I should say. So I wanted to take a bit from some of the other podcasts that we've done, not to take importance away from anything, but I definitely want to bring focus back to the personal growth aspect of accomplishing our goals, because the only way we're going to change the narrative in society starts with you. It starts with yourself. So you're not going to change shit if you can't change yourself. I think there's a lot of people out there that need to hear that for sure. And it definitely sure is not going to come from yelling at people's faces and throwing Molotov cocktails. If you want to change, start building yourself into the leader that you should be and what this country needs you to be, to be able to cause change, make change in your society. So guys, thanks for joining us. This has been The Movement. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, at Shepherds of Men. Check out our website, shepherdsof.men. Absolutely phenomenal website. Check out our gear as well. We're going to start slapping up some of the different designs we have on our social media. Check out our soon-to-be, by this time for sure, our gear bubble on Instagram, where you guys will just be able to swipe up and go straight to the website from there and check out a lot of the cool stuff we've got coming down the road. So thank you guys for your support. And like I said before, this has been The Movement.